remember when was it the new Star Wars the latter trilogy came out, and that first so was it 7 episode 7 came out. Buddy was just he read comments to it was a YouTube just like music comments or something, just a music video, and someone just blurted out the spoiler there just straight up. It was like, what the f. Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel, where a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. I'm your host, as always, Joe, and with me, the gentleman who already has his March Madness bracket up. Nick, how you doing, Nick?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, uh, yeah, I don't have my March Madness bracket going yet. I'm sorry. It's not actually March yet. We do one at work, for funsies, every year, pretty much. Um, there's some new people in the office who I think are more into it this year, or who are going to be more into it this year. So I'm excited for that. But honestly, like I like college sports. Like I like it. I mean, obviously, I like NFL and I like NBA. I like those two the most. NCAA football is like the close third, but then like NCAA basketball is just it's fourth, just because I have a lot of problems with like the way things kind of are in the college sports. Um, Less so in football, but yeah, for it just it's mostly, it has to do with like the pros. They just the defensive side of the ball is just so much more talent than in college, where it's all just like score, 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 score. It's not like the true game, you know. But anyway, that's my rant on sports in America right now. How are you, Joe?
Doing all right. Yeah, I could not care less about college sports at all. Just nope. And for those who get into I had a bunch of coworkers who were like, "Yeah, I do the office pool, and then I have like 4 other pools with other groups of friends." I'm like, "That is called an addiction, and you have a problem." Especially since you're not using the same bracket across the board. I'm like, if you're just one and done, be like, "Yes, here's my thing. I'm gonna carry this across everything." I'm like, okay, that's kind of you did the homework, you might as well play. But they go like they try to spread their numbers way too thin, and I'm like, dude, I can't even think of that as fun. I'm like, that's just homework. You might as well just be working in
Yeah,
Excel sheet. So
yeah. I mean, it's the same kind of people that like used to write walkthroughs for games back in the day, like Game Facts or whatever. There's just like hundreds of people, thousands of people maybe, that would just they'd play games and then they'd write a walkthrough and they'd play it like thoroughly, and they would just put this like gigantic walkthrough together for free for people to use like online before videos and stuff were a big deal. It's like, why in the world would you ever want to do that?
yeah,
But
but they were heroes, and that stuff lived on, opposed to the 2024 bracket that you don't remember who did what in, and so it's literally just a waste of space.
but if you make money on it, then and you can brag about how much better you are at predicting something that is basically just, random happenstance anyway to your friends, then I mean it's a win-win. Or I don't know. I think a lot of it is just has to do with like building camaraderie and friendship. There's actually a guy on YouTube, I can't remember his name, but he does a lot of NFL like analysis videos. He's a Seahawks fan. Um, is one thing I remember about him, but he brought up some article or some stat that basically says that fans have more friends. Like sports fans tend to have more, like, whatever they were using to gauge friendship, like more touch points of friendship and stuff like that, and touch points of contact than people who are not fans. And I was like, that pretty much checks out. I mean, a lot of my sports buddies, even if it's not particularly like deep friendship, we do kind of rib each other a lot more, just about like, oh, your team lost, or oh, your team won, or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of all fake nonsense anyway. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's fun.
none of them would bail you out of jail if you needed it. So
No, but then
they're
you
not.
wouldn't do that either.
I'd bail you out. You give me the check, I'll bail you out.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I'm sure you would.
all right, all right. Here we go now. Let's get to what we've been playing. We started it last time, so we didn't get to really talk about it, but we managed to finish Reanimal, brand new game, and one that we were kind of looking forward to. This one, you even did all your homework beforehand. You made sure to play Little Nightmares 1 and 2 prior. And so, yeah, I want to
I
know
mean,
what.
like a year in the making, but yeah, I played like Little Nightmares 1 almost a year ago, and I played Little Nightmares 2 what, a month, 2 months ago, something like that. But yeah, so you want to know what I think about it?
Yep, you take the lead.
Okay, okay. So, but basically, I think that this Reanimal is overall
For those who don't know, what is it?
okay. It's a video game. Okay, so so Reanimal is a um how do I succinctly say this? It's like a Little Nightmares game, but not. So, I mean, it's a puzzle platformer with a horror, with a like liminal, not super liminal really, but like quiet horror backdrop. It's about kids with masks, so you never really see their faces, and they're running through a very creepy world of adults that are not just like adult sized, but they're like gigantic sized, and there is like horrible things going on, and then there's like an existential horror sort of. Well, no, existential is not the right way. It's not the right word. It's like a it's like a Cthulhu type horror. It's not Cthulhu, but it's sort of like that kind of horror that's going on. Is there anything I missed?
Uh, the closest thing it's like, if you had to say, if you don't know what this game, like, look to these other games.
Well, I mean, like Reanimal is technically different from Little Nightmares, even though it's probably the spiritual correct successor, because the creators of Little Nightmares kind of went over there. But if you played Inside or Limbo, I haven't played Limbo, but if you played like Inside, it's kind of
Those would be
like
the easiest, analogies to make, and that's what I tell people as well. So,
yeah,
and yeah, what do you remember the studio who did Reanimal?
I don't remember.
Um,
I can't remember.
Tarser, I believe.
Tarsier.
So yeah, Tarsier.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah. So I don't remember the whole story, but I do remember it being like, okay, the dudes that did Little Nightmares, a couple of them broke off and went over to make Reanimal.
Yeah, they did a lot of Little Big Planet stuff, and then it was, yeah, Little Nightmares 1 and 2. So it's kind of, they're pretty much a Sony house, as it were.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so so anyway, so Reanimal. Um, to me, overall, it is a I'll say it's a step forward, um, and slightly, at least slightly better game than the Little Nightmares games. So far, at least the two that I played. Um, I think that it, at the very least, it's a step forward because the Little Nightmares games are very much about left to right. They break that a little bit where they have you go forward or backward just a little bit, but Reanimal um, has a lot of left to right, but it has a lot of forward and back and like north south movement, and it has like whole like quote open world or whatever section with like a boat and stuff. So they really tried to expand out and make it less of one of those kind of games and more of just sort of a video game in a lot of ways. Um, but like the aesthetic is still the same. The really creepy world that doesn't explain itself at all is still there. Everything is told is basically everything is communicated visually. There is a little bit of voice acting in this, but like a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. But it's just enough voice acting to kind of raise questions rather than actually answer anything, or to make the world more creepy is another way to put it. Um, and yeah, I think it's easier than the Little Nightmares games. I think that the two Little Nightmares games that I played were a little bit arbitrarily difficult in some places, just to maybe slow you down a bit to make those games, which were already very short, last just a little bit longer. So I don't really blame him for that. But yeah, so uh, I think that the story in this one also had a bit more going on. It's a bit more dynamic. The Little Nightmares games were kind of just about creepy adults doing, just kind of doing crazy stuff to kids and stuff like that. And you don't really always see a lot of that, but it's definitely the after effects are shown on a lot of it. This is similar, but in those other games, it was more, um, you know, Cthulhu type horror. And in this game, there's a little bit of a real world bent to it. Toward the middle end of the game, you get an idea of the time period that you're actually in. If I could guess, I mean, this is probably some kind of alternate reality, but it gives you an idea of the time period you're in and adds to some of the horror in that way. But yeah, it kind of goes more places. It does more things. I think. Only knock might be that it's a little bit easier. I never faced a puzzle that I really even had to think about for more than a couple seconds. And in the Little Nightmares games, there was a couple that either through my own stupidity or being miscommunicated or just being kind of tough, I had to take some time with. Um, but yeah, and then I think you and I have some problems with it, but we can talk about that in a second.
Yeah. All right. So my quick 2 cents of it is not having played really. I think I played Little Nightmares 1, a little bit of it, and didn't really get that much invested into it. Did not play the second one or the third. Third one is different team. Uh, and then coming into this, um, the games I've most likely, it would be Inside and Limbo.
Right.
Um, I think there's a lot of connection to in my brain to like Limbo, as far as um, the space that you're at in the game, because that's you don't the story doesn't tell you anything. You're led to infer upon things, and so I made a bunch of assumptions right out the gate. I feel like a lot of them were pretty accurate, but once again, there's not a lot of clarity, so it's pretty annoying that way. My biggest downside to the game was I did have a couple annoying bugs that had popped up here and there,
Okay.
but you know, it's pretty simple, and so to have some, the AI like hang up or just like get stuck on geometry and just lock up on me. Eventually got to like it happened enough times where when something happened, I was like, okay, I'm having trouble moving forward, or the camera's getting all wonky because my character's stuck. So I'm just going to restart from the last checkpoint just to save myself time instead of trying to fix this, because sometimes I'd be able to double back, unhook them, as it were, or I've had uh, the enemy NPC making their route and then all of a sudden them blink out of existence, just straight up like disappear on me. And I'm like, oh, that most definitely wasn't supposed to happen. So, yeah. And then I just moved on. And then they were at the next checkpoint. They were at the doing the next, you know, routine. I'm like, okay, well, sure. Didn't affect me really much in the game. So that's fine.
Well,
But just enough. the
because like
most.
you started playing it like as it went live, right? I think it was s- the next day, like Saturday or something like that, before I actually got a hold of it. I wonder if they had did like a hot fix update or something between.
There was I played within the first 24 hours, so the there was no update when I played that, and there might have been one update when I did eventually beat the game. I then ran into and replayed the game within the next following day.
Okay,
I forget what time I beat the game, so I ended up going ahead and even towards the end of my last run, there was still and that one was more of a speed run on that one because I knew what to do. I was using a guide to grab the last final things because I would have just done a chapter select, and grab the final bit that I wanted to grab, but I couldn't do a chapter select because or they wouldn't allow me to get what I wanted, which I'll go into. I'm avoiding spoilers right now.
yeah,
Uh, Later on, I'll rip that. I'll throw up the spoiler warning then. But yeah, so but it forced me to in order to do what I wanted to do to have to replay the whole game and collect those things again. I found that to be extremely annoying. And because I was going having to play through the whole thing again, I figured, okay, I'll go ahead and do a clean sweep, pick up everything along the way that I missed, and then I just went ahead and polished up to get the platinum. Um, yeah, it soured my mood on the game, having being forced to play the game a second time, just to collect the one thing that I missed. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that's it.
Well, like when you told me that, I was like really surprised because I was expecting a chapter select to be opened up once I'd beaten the game, and I noticed that there wasn't, because you told me to, but I was like, that is such a dumb step backward because I'm almost positive that the Little Nightmares games have a chapter select. I'm pretty sure that Inside also has a chapter select.
So I don't remember about Inside, but the game does have a chapter select. It just to all right, slight spoiler. To get the real ending, which if you look at the trophy list, and you let the trophies spoil it for you, um, you'll find out what it is. But to do that, you actually have to get them all in one run. You just can't. And I collected the first bit, and I missed the very last one. So, which means it's in the latter part of the game, or at least the latter half. Uh, Meaning I had to go through everything again, because you have to collect them all in one go. And there's a few other trophies that require you to grab them in one go as well. Uh, so there's some other collectible things uh, that unlock something else. And so in order to do those, yeah, you do have to collect them, and that is annoying. I think that the fact that there's something wrong with the game where it's like we don't recognize your save progression with your collectible items,
Yeah.
and you have to do it in one fell swoop. I'm like, yeah, you are wasting my time at this point, and I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're trying to force you to enjoy, quote, enjoy the game again in order to get the true ending. It's like, I mean, like, I shouldn't feel like I need to go watch a YouTube video to get the final ending, to get the true ending, to get the whatever ending. I don't like, nobody has time to spend another 5 hours playing straight through again. Like, don't do that to people. Like, we've already played it, we've already collected it, we've already enjoyed it. Just let me click the button at the end or beat the thing at the end to get the true final ending. If I have to go through other routes or whatever, but like, don't make your game, don't be redundant. Like, I don't understand what it is about these game developers because it happens all the time. Like, that
And the
they
thing is,
don't
I'm
understand
willing to.
the difference
Yeah,
between, sorry, just real quick, they don't understand the difference between like difficulty and redundancy. Like, there's a difference.
there's a third part to that, and between your difficulty and redundancy, but also, like, if you're gonna make me replay it, give me more to it. Like, if you're gonna unlock more, like, give me the JRPG new game plus treatment where there's added things to explore, like, hey, we're rewarding you for doing the new game plus or just for replaying it, and we're really giving you more to it, not just the things that you originally missed. If you're gonna make me do a second playthrough, I mean, technically you could do everything flawlessly the first time. It'd be very hard to find everything on your first time without a guide, and, if you need the guide, that I feel like that's kind of spoiling it for yourself, but, I
Yeah.
mean, once again, who has based on time, I'm not gonna shame someone for doing it. Um,
Well, if you've already beaten it once, and it's like, well, I need to really make sure now that my next 5 hours of play in this game are have zero room for error because I don't want to spend another 5 hours if I screw up, and get to the end and realize that I messed something up. Like, yeah,
yeah, if yeah, that would suck even worse if you're playing through and trying to collect everything and you happen to miss one thing again or something, and then you're just like, "I can't go back."
yeah.
So anyways, I guess now I'm gonna get into spoiler territory for this game,
Spoiler
because
warning.
yeah, spoiler warning, gonna talk about the endings and the lack of explanation. For me, the lack of fulfillment of, like, it didn't leave me satisfied. Um, I feel like games have been doing twist endings really well for a long time. This is just it's like a bad version of American Psycho where, everyone at the end of American Psycho asks themselves, is it reality or like Inception or like, what's going on? This is not really so much that. This is kind of a moot point. Like, just I feel it falls flat. So Little Nightmares, the whole concept is you are a boy in a boat picking up friends along the way, and they hint throughout the whole story. Like the very first time you're seen looking up in a well, and I'm like, oh great, so it's the ring.
Oh
I'm
wait,
like,
sorry. You said Little Nightmares, but you mean Reanimal in this game?
I'm sorry, Reanimal.
Okay, okay,
I'm sorry, yeah, I
okay.
said Little Nightmares. I'm sorry, Reanimal. So Reanimal. Um, so the main character is supposed to be a brother. The couple, the main two are supposed to be brother and sister, from what I read. And my screen locked up there. There you go. So you're supposed to be a brother and sister, and you have uh, like three other friends, uh, and I think canonically, one of them is a girl. Um, because some people have had different thoughts and theories. Um, the idea of it though is because you're seeing imaging of like them peering down into a well. I'm like, okay, so you're all dead. Like, is the ring? This is. I feel like they've taken a lot of inspiration, saying it politely, from things like The Ring or uh, some sort of manifestation of limbo. The concept of, or like one of the developers or something probably got traumatized by Sentou Chihiro, Spirited Away, because there's a monster that very much reminds me of No Face when they come out from the river and they're eating, they're trying to give all that gold and running around all giant blob monster on all fours. And I'm like, yeah, during the school scene, I was like, oh yeah, that's totally just the monster from Spirited Away. You know?
The Potato Man or the Potato
No,
Monster?
oh, so No Face, the main
Yeah.
uh black entity eventually grows into a big fat blob, goes into the uh tries to go into the hot spring or the bathhouse
I remember
and
all
starts
that.
digging out.
I remember all that.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're connecting it to in Reanimal.
Um Reanimal, it's the monster from the oh, you were saying potato as, yeah, that the kind of spider fuzzy big black blob that's eating, everyone, and it
Yeah.
starts chasing on the outside of the building, skittering like that way.
Okay,
The entire
okay.
time it's chasing up the spiral staircase, climbing on the outside of the building. As you're then trying to harpoon, I'm like, yeah, this is just it just reminds me of just that monster, like that, and that character design.
I suppose,
You
yeah.
just threw on a couple extra arms and made it fuzzy, but for the most part, it might as well just be that character.
I mean, yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I feel like the horror, I was expecting more creepy and just more weird. I didn't really I felt like it fell flat. The creepiest part is when I found the mask of like the intestines, which was like mask number like 2 or something like that. And I was just like, just goes ahead and just plops it on your head. I'm like, oh man, that is just gnarly. Like, why would you wear that? Yeah, you walk into the bathroom and like, it's a hidden room, and it's just you just plop it right on your head. I'm like, all right, sure. But luckily that mask isn't very long lived. You pick up pretty frequently. So I guess the takeaway, like, I'm just gonna jump straight to the ending. So you didn't get the true ending, but did you get the chance to look at it on YouTube or not?
No, I haven't had a
And,
chance to look on it, but that's okay.
all
You
right.
can go
So
ahead and tell me what it is.
the base ending, uh, just rolls into the fact that the girl, the rabbit, I'll just label as, ends up getting lured into a barn, and there's been iconography throughout. You've seen at the movie theater, you see 5 bunny rabbits running around in a circle,
Okay.
and then one behind one of the posters you rip off, there's a bunny rabbit there. One of the and then the coffins you collect. The coffins are the key to getting the true ending.
Okay.
There's 5 coffins. Each coffin depicts one way one of the kids dies. The last coffin, instead of finding the rabbit, girl, you find an actual rabbit. Like, and as the girl reaches down to try to pet it, it hops away. So when you get to the final barn scene, she follows the 4 children out there, and she then finds the corpse of a little bunny rabbit, which makes you think it's hers. And then you see that she's kind of ambushed, and you can hear her get hit, or and then her knife drop, and then the next scene is them dragging her out to the well,
Right.
as one of the other kids has the knife, and then slowly around you, you see all the sheep in the field start to stand up on 2 legs, and it kinda goes dark from there. The next scene, you kinda see her like, at the ending credit scene, essentially, you see, like, her in the well and the well bubble up. Um, so
So they put her down in the well, and then
yes.
and
So
then
so the true
she.
ending.
So hang on a
Yeah.
second. So what I remember is they put her down in the well, and then the thing that you've been seeing from the beginning of the game of this sheep that has like mutated from a sheep into like a monster that you fight at the end. Well, they put her down in the well, and then she starts to convulse like the sheep at the bottom of the well. Okay, so that's the ending that I got. And then yeah, you see the well bubble up at the after credit scene.
So the little extra bit before the well bubbling up is, and kind of before the girl, instead of the girl mutating, is the fact that she's laying there down the bottom, and then you see a bunch of uh like spirit, like shadowy figures coming from the walls and up through the dirt, and just kind of coming in. There's more than 5. There's maybe like, but they're all wearing similar rabbit masks, but kind of deformed in different ways, and they kind of go to touch her, like, go to, like, merge or, like, acknowledge her in some way. Um, and the idea is it's supposed to be like a cycle is what I've gathered from it. See, this is where everyone talks like mad about this, because I thought it was pretty obvious that this is not like the real world, like, as it were, and this was, uh it just seemed like it was pretty obvious that this is some sort of, like, little nightmare. Essentially, like, they're living
Okay.
hell, their limbo, their purgatory, the fact that they're living, a repeat, cycle. And, when it makes more sense, especially when you play it, now this is the only reason I can see you playing it for a second time, but, this is one of the things that if you're gonna make 'em play for the second time, you should sprinkle in more things, because they only speak a handful of times. Um, One of the things you hear, like, right away in the beginning, well, when you pull the girl from the water, so if you think about it, the well fills up, floods the land, as it were, and the main boy pulls her from into the boat. Her first recollection is to strangle him, because the last thing she probably remembers is being ambushed and killed.
Mm.
So that makes sense there until she kind of pauses and wait, like, hey, what's, like, is it a bad dream, or it's like snaps to it. And then they have lines like, uh, "I didn't think you would come for me," or something like that.
I told you
It's like, or
to
I'm surprised. Yeah.
like I told you not to come back, something like that.
And later on, talking about, like, like, when they go into the war zone, they're like, "It's flooded again," or something like that. It's just some of those dialects, okay, like, "Alright, this makes sense. This is all kind of reciprocal," and a lot of people are trying to look into the whole lamb bit and trying to look into, like, religion and things like that. I'm like, I think you're reading too much into what's not there, and I think that's what the developers are going for. I think,
They're trying to bait people into looking into more signs and symbols and stuff. I mean, it could be a lot of times they do put stuff like that in there, but a lot of times, like sacrificial lamb is not. I mean, it is like originally a religious term, but it's so widely used. It's almost not even necessarily religious anymore. So yeah, I mean, I guess it could be, but
the idea, though, is because you see the 4 kids, doing a cult-like ritual where they cut their hands and they bleed them into, it looks like a skull of a lamb, and so that's what, is um, happens before they trap the girl in the barn. So, like, a lot of people are trying to figure out why the sacrifice needs to happen, what's it for. A lot of people I've read that are think it's because of a drought, and I'm like, but if you look at the well beforehand when they dragging her, it's very damp all around it, so I don't think that's the correct. But for some reason, a lot of people go to drought, which was weird. Some people are thinking to try to end the war, and I'm like, that seems like a really weird one too. Just to be like, yeah, we're gonna sacrifice to end the war. I'm like, that's some throwing people in the volcano level of dumb. And I just to me it is. It's like I would rather just believe the kids were just being weird, sinister kids and just doing a ritual they just for the fun of it. I would have an easier time dealing with that than being like, yeah, we're gonna stop the war by murdering our friend. Um, so
well, okay, so
once again, I don't I think this kind of concept falls really flat, and I don't think they're going to explain it. People are hoping that I think they announced 2 DLCs for it, um, and a lot of people are hoping, oh yeah, hopefully we'll get some more answers. I'm like, no, I really don't think they're going to give any answers.
okay, so all right. So there is a kind of horror that is not really as prevalent in the West. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's the kind of horror that Junji Ito does. Um, there's a term for it, but basically, what it boils down to is from the beginning of the story, you never had a chance. Like you never like whatever character you're following, whatever, they never had a chance. There was never a way to defeat this or to thwart this or to save yourself. You've only been watching them circle the drain the entire time. And I think that this is not exactly that, but I think that this is a lot more along those lines. And I think a lot of Westerners aren't really that like they don't really grasp that as well. They want there to be like, even if it's tragic, they want to be like, "Oh, well, if I had just done that or whatever." And I don't think that's what these guys are going for. I think that that is what is kind of played out. That is a little bit too played out in a lot of Western horror. I think that what these guys are trying to do is make video games and to keep making video games. And the only real way to do that is to kind of string you along. I don't mind that. I like the worlds that they create. I like the art of these games. I think that they're really, really, really cool atmospheric games. But I can see how people would be annoyed with, oh, we're not getting answers or whatever. Like if you're looking for answers from Reanimal or any of the Little Nightmares games, at least the first two, there aren't really any there. I mean, there's like in story, like, oh, kind of this thing or that thing. But as far as like what is actually going on, the creators are probably never going to tell you that until they're ready to end the series or end their careers, because like that's kind of the point, is for you to always be scratching your head, like always to be kind of being like, well, if this then this. It's that's par for the course in my book, I think.
Yeah, were you able to find any of the coffins yourself?
Yeah, I was
What
able to.
during your playthrough?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely one at the lake that I remember. There's or at least like the first part of the lake, and then there's another one off by the battleship. I think that one, or maybe that's something else. But I remember finding at least three. I think I didn't really find very many at the end. I remember
So
kind
there's
of.
gonna be 5 total, and they actually show up right before you enter the barn. Because right before you enter the barn, you can see the shadowy silhouette standing outside the barn, to the left, and, so I remember when I got there to the end, my first playthrough, I'm like, "There's 4, I missed 1, dang it." And so, yeah, sure
I,
enough,
I'm pretty sure I got the one
the
at the barn. Yeah.
okay, no, I'm the barn being the end where she gets murdered, that barn.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Alright, so yes, I'm trying to remember the locations of them. The first one is after after you get on the rail car, the little pump rail car, you make it across the chasm,
Yeah.
you go to the far right. There's one there. There's one in the water area where you have to blow up a mine, one of the sea mines before going into the hotel, and
Okay. Yeah.
so it's just after the harpoons. You go down a long stairwell. The I'm trying to remember now. Uh, third one is by the cannon. It's one of the it's like kind of around the bend from the cannon. I believe that's the third one. The fourth one is in a school. So before you rescue the friend that's on the rope, if you go forward to the screen to the left, um, they're there.
Huh.
And the
Okay.
final one the final one is in the trenches past, when you're in the hospital area where there's a bunch of, soldiers exploding, and you're going through the room of exploding rooms, and you go down the hallway and you quick turn. It's right when you turn from that hallway, and then there's, like, a wheelchair that rolls by. If you double back, and that's the one I missed, that
I
was the last
definitely
one.
missed that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's actually there's actually, a hatch, like, um a vault hatch, and then you unscrew it, then you go down a ladder that way, and that was the last one.
Yeah.
So, it shows each kid's death, essentially is what it is, but, the last one being the rabbit, because we get to see how the rabbit character dies. Um, so one kid is shot, one is hung, uh one, I believe, is knocked off a cliff. I'm trying to remember how he does, and then the last one is a landmine. I believe he hits a mine,
Yeah.
and so the concept or the general consensus, I think, is the fact that after they did their sacrifice, they all ended up dying probably through the war, it seems, and
Okay.
therefore they all are now in this turmoil afterlife, and that's how they all met up again,
Okay.
essentially.
Okay.
Um,
And they're just somehow doomed to go back or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're kind of
Okay.
doing a repeat because essentially they make it to the end where they sacrifice her, the whole place fills up again, and then you're on the boat again, and then it's that
Yeah.
idea.
And then there's like reanimal, so like redo, and
I guess. Yeah.
it's so yeah, so I mean, I really like this game. I do acknowledge the annoyances that there are with trying to play it again and platinum it, but like for a flat straight one time playthrough run, whatever, I think that I mean, for me, it was very serviceable. There was only a couple places where I had to kind of redo stuff, and even as I screwed up and had to do it like two or three times, like there's one part where you're tied together and you have to go across this precarious one way or one person paths, and like do it's like a puzzle, but you basically have to keep falling in a pit. Like I failed that a couple times, but I figured out more and more what I was doing wrong each time, and so things like that aren't so bad. Um, I think that
I know what spot you're talking about, where the ground breaks beneath you,
yeah.
and I died once because I just jumped on the same spot just out of curiosity because I knew it wanted us to take the 2 different paths. But yeah, it's just like, that one I found to be pretty easy. There was only 1 or 2 spots that I had a really difficult issue with, and for some reason, I that's what made me feel like the game was bugged, which was the first time you ever encounter the skin suits. Alright,
Oh,
we're gonna wait for the yeah. So, when you find the last wheel for that cart and all the skin suits start coming at you, you have to run away. For some reason, that those first couple of them kept on taking me out right away, and it wasn't until, like, I think I probably died real quick, like, 4 or 5 times, probably 5 times consecutively, and I was just like, what's going on here?" I'm trying to run, jump over this guy, I'm having issues, he lunges at me, and I'm like, "This is really jank," and then every time you load, it takes just a little enough time to load, plus then you have to get up from the seated position, help get your partner up, and then you get to go again. I'm like, "That's just extra little delay really started grating at me. I'm like, "Okay, this is really annoying." The fact that like, I know you don't wanna necessarily go arcade fast, being like, "Alright, just kinda quick playthrough," but, like, this is not my idea of a good time,
yeah.
essentially how that was working, so
Yeah, like they really don't need to start you off like you're waking up from a nap like every time. Like I think that there's some places where that might merit it, but more often than not, it should just start you back standing, ready to go. Because like this is a video game, I'm ready to get back into it. I'm ready. I'm trying to get a rhythm, trying to get a muscle memory thing going here, and that just sucks. I did feel that every once in a while. There are some spots in these kind of games where I think if you're not lucky enough to land it the first time, the game is not necessarily optimized for you to have the best shot at getting it easily, again. Like you have to then like you can be, if you're lucky the first time, you don't have to be good, but if you're not lucky enough to guess the right route or to take off when you're supposed to take off and all that stuff, then when you have to redo it, you're the game is like not really on purpose, but just the way that's made is basically like, oh, okay, well now you got to be good at this, and you just have to hit it just right from that point. I didn't have a problem with that section. I think I got it on the first try, but I think with these kind of games, it's just whenever there's just certain things that are going to irk different people different ways. Um,
I think the chase scenes, I think they had too many of them, but it was the only way they can make it intense, and it was one of those things that I noticed what they did and why they did it, and I thought it was kinda silly, but it was effective enough, but once you realize what's going on, you're like, "Okay, this is, kinda tropey," and that was the fact that, like, "Oh, we're being chased by yet another creature," and you're trying to run away. We're gonna slow down your main character, or at least make everyone out your partners go faster. But to compensate for that, they're gonna show you the right path. Like
yeah,
you're weaving through cars, or you're on. It's like it was one of the bits where like we're finally gonna pull the camera back as you escape like the lighthouse. And then my guy got clipped on a corner, and I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me!" So I'm like, I'm getting excited. And then eventually, I got 8. I'm like, "That's bogus." All right, or because everyone pulls out in front of you, I lost sight of my character. So what I started doing is as I'm running, I just jump with my character. I just keep on jumping. I'm like, that's my character right there. And then that way I don't stumble across anything on the ground. And it was just like, it's kind of silly because everyone else is running and we're supposed to be tense. And here my guy is like, jumping like Mario, like, woo. And I'm like, this is, you know,
I mean, the other thing is like at a $40 price point, you're talking about, you know, a pretty good first playthrough, but a lot of kind of difficulties in the other playthroughs and kind of non-necessary things. I mean, I went ahead and bought the DLC for it in the pre-order, so those will come out whenever it is, but that's like 50 something dollars total. Um, I think it's a bit pricey. I thought that Little Nightmares 3 also sounded a bit pricey. I don't remember how long that one's supposed to be, but to me, a brand new, I would have preferred this to be a little cheaper, like 35 or 30. And I think that the quality is there, but my goodness, like 5, 6 hours before you're basically starting to bang your head against the wall on stuff is kind of a bit much. So I would actually like to see um, for the next game. I hope there is a next game because I do like these games a lot, especially from these guys. I just think you don't really get this kind of atmosphere and world and sort of low key creepy vibe from anybody else, really, at least not as regularly. But I'd like to see a couple more hours of gameplay at least. I'd like to hit, I'd like it to be instead of the 5 to 8 hour mark, more like the 8 to 11 hour mark. And I'd like to see it at the same similar price point, maybe $45 for the base or whatever. Either that or make it cheaper. The other thing I'd like to see from another game is um, there's a lot of the puzzles in the first two Little Nightmares games. I think a lot of them are better. Um, that those games have a lot. They feel a lot more like a dollhouse because there's not very much north and south movement. But I think that there's plenty of room in Reanimal or Reanimal 2 to have kind of a kind of a locked room or a locked viewpoint and a more complex puzzle or a more like intricate puzzle because really the puzzles in Little Nightmares sometimes they're pretty tough and you kind of have to go like wait okay well I thought I was supposed to do this but they got me that way so I actually need to do this. Oh, they got me that way too, and then just enough to make your brain work like a little bit. So Little Nightmares has a bunch of those puzzles. It's like the whole way throughout both games. I don't think we need that again, but probably two or maybe three of that kind of intensity would make Reanimal even more dynamic and would make it more better in my opinion. So that's what I like to see from another game.
Yeah, I think there wasn't any real puzzles in this. There's like, and the only things that come to mind is like two. One is you stepped on a plank and you fell off because you were too top heavy. So you have to tell the person, stand on the other end of the plank so I can run across and jump and then push a bookshelf for you. And like, that was
That's
like one puzzle.
that probably is like the hardest, like one of the hardest puzzles. If, funnily enough, I'm trying to think of another one. It's so they seem to have sacrificed kind of action or the puzzles for more like action oriented stuff and more like video gamey type attack type, like combat, which is weird to say, but like more combat type of stuff. So yeah. Anyway,
It's more, yeah, because you're mostly getting chased and it's supposed to be like the thrill of escaping. And the only other real puzzle I remember finding was the there's an so out of the things to collect, one of the things is the posters. I got 17 out of the 20 my first playthrough. There was only two that I missed that you could find in the world, and then the last one is an alternative code you put in for the cannon. So when you go to do the ammunition drop for the cannon, there's a different code you put in. I don't know how you're supposed to actually get this code. I got it because at this point I was just since I was being forced to play, I was just following a guide.
okay.
And they're like, "Here's the code to put in." I'm like, "Okay." I'm trying to figure out anywhere in that room or any like I couldn't figure out how this
Well,
code was supposed to
there's
be known.
there's two boxes, but they have the same code on them, right? They both have the same
Yeah.
code, so it couldn't be like in the cannon room or something.
And then I was so what happens is you put in the other code, and then right next to where you put the code in, there's a little box to the left. It's on the wall, and then it prints out the poster for the concept art. and that's like the last one that I
Wait a
needed to
second.
collect.
There's a box that I pushed off, and I never figured out what.
That box okay, so that's there's 5 critters, I think there's 5 creatures, that you murder, to and you can wear their hats. Like, the first one is by the movie theater, it's a cone, so when you get the crowbar, you go all the way forward, you break into the room, and then there's a traffic cone, and then underneath it is, like, a spider crab thing or something like that, and you murder it, you wear it.
I killed
So
that.
the box you pushed off, by the time you leave and you go down to the beach again, go to the far left of the beach, it has uh, another mask or a mask for you to wear. You kill it, you wear the mask. That's what
Okay.
that was.
Okay.
So that's one of the trophies too, is to kill the creatures to wear, and then you have to collect those masks. The other collecting one, which I only had caught, I only got like half of them. Were the um, like 5 candles you have to light for memorial. So, like, I'm trying to remember. One of them is by the whales, where I'm like, this is like Death Stranding, the concept of like the beached whales. But it's a little rabbit statue. At first, I thought it was supposed to be a lamb, but they have a little candle you light, and you find a couple of them scattered throughout, and then the last one you find is actually in the trenches. When you find it, if you haven't lit in the 4 previous, the 5th one will be destroyed.
Okay.
It turns out they're rabbit statues. There was some debate about it, but someone then posted up it made sense that it was a rabbit statue at the end for me because it's just a floppy-eared rabbit.
Yeah.
But someone was arguing, be like, "In the files on the PC, they're listed as rabbit statues," and people are like, "No, it's a lamb." Or it's like, and then the person got so fed up that they threw up an image, a single image of that JPEG of what the statue is supposed to look like, and it's clearly a rabbit,
Okay.
and it was just really funny. So which makes sense because as you saw before, it was like a pentagram or a star. It was 5 points of a star, and they
Right.
had rabbits. And just like the movie theater, you see the rabbits that run around the circle, and people kind of defer like, okay, so the rabbits happen. It's supposed to be like the circle of life, but in this case, a dark twistedness because like the blood goes into the soil gets turns into worms, animals. If it ends up getting eaten by people, and kind of like then the video circles back. Um, and so that's kind of like they're saying like the tainted world or something like that, um, because of this person, of her dying in the well, and then her darkness taints the land and causes, and it just kind of
Okay.
envelops between, like, yeah, I see it. At the same time, I don't know how much I
Care.
it's such a weak thing. Alright, so my first playthrough, I'd probably give it an 8. Like,
Okay.
it was fun enough, it was the right length enough. I think it was fine. I had a fun enough experience. It was creepy in a lot of good ways. Um, I wanted more, and, like I said, I just wanted more story, because I felt like every new area, you're like, "Okay, find a friend, find a new character to collect, run away from that bad guy. Just run away." Another chasing. I'm like, okay, this is a little weak side. So I'm like, maybe a 7, but like an 8 at best. And I'm like, it looks good. And you know, th- I had some jankiness on my end.
Okay.
Um, some of the trophies were kind of fun because I had a feeling I was coming across them a certain way. I think I had destroyed a bunch of the statues. I got a trophy in the school for breaking statues. I'm like, okay. I got a trophy for destroying a bunch of mines. And then when I got in the tank, I ran over. I saw the car get crushed. I'm like, there's totally going to be a trophy for this. And by the time I ended that segment, I'm like, sure enough, I got a trophy pop for crushing cars. I'm like, yes. I knew how they were thinking at this point. So that felt like satisfying. Now, knowing that I couldn't collect the coffins, knowing that you can't get the mask, because what happens is when you light all 5 altars, you get the rabbit mask there, and you have to get them all in one playthrough as well. So you
Mhm.
can't get the mask collection trophy without getting all the altars, which means you have to play through all the way through in one setting.
Yeah.
Those kind of things, I'm like, you're just being jerks now.
Mm.
And um, if it's a problem with the way the game's coded, that means you failed. Um, you know,
Yeah, I think that yeah, I was thinking somewhere between a 7 and an 8, maybe not quite an 8 just because I mean at some point quantity has to enter into the equation and you know um there's just not quite enough of it there. But I think 7 is probably is a reasonable enough score. Getting down into 6 and it's like, well, that would be a you'd have to have a specific argument, I think, to really get close to a 6 or to get to
so
the
here we
six
go.
and high sixes.
Here it is. So once again, Alex, I was thinking of 7 or 8, and I was like, "All right, if I wanna be really good," like, uh, knowing that there was a true ending, because I didn't realize there was a true ending. I was just it was a hunch because of the things you had to collect. It wasn't until after my first playthrough, then I looked up the remaining trophies, and I looked up, if there was and then one of the trophies just straight up says, "Collect the coffins to get the true ending," or whatever, something along those lines. I'm like, "Okay, great, that answers my question. How do I get" Alright, so I knew I missed one. I'm like I looked it up, and they're like, "You have to do it all, play the whole game." I'm like, "You kidding me, right?" All right. So now I'm going through the frustration of playing this again. Um, collected everything fine, made it to the end. For that little extra blip, I talked to you like the way some of these fans are talking about this extra little bit ending where like, oh, you see a bunch of extra shadowy figures coming and looking kind of wearing kind of rabbitish masks. So like there were other sacrifices. Some people were like, well, she was a part of the ritual beforehand. She was helping with the sacrifices before, and she became a victim. Or in my brain, it's just her looping and it's just her like her other selves maybe. At least that's kind of what I'm going with. Um, but just that little bit and like it people are treating this as like Blade Runner fanatics who are like, the unicorn bit at the end of final like the director's cut or the final like or the yeah, the final cut.
Yeah.
And it's just like that little extra but changes the whole perspective and blah blah blah. I'm like, uh
Nah.
yeah, kind of, but not, it's just like
Okay.
I mean, Blade Runner is one thing, especially with time and place thing. This is nowhere near that level. And I'm like, so I just powered through the whole thing for that. Like, just that. Like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I was hoping to get, like, something more than, I don't know, not even 30 seconds or something. It's just like, you are junk. So that easily dropped it to a 6. I was like, at best, at
I
high end,
don't
you
I
know
just like I mean,
'Cause I wasted my time on that for literally nothing. I wanted to earn the hidden extra ending. I wanted to see because I was
what
hoping that
I mean,
it would
you
so
can rate
well.
it whatever you want to rate it. Like that's completely, up to you. But I for me, I mean, like for me there is the thing that the game asks me to do on, let's say, a normal setting, or what it forces me to do on a normal setting. And that is sort of where I praise or punish a game. And anything beyond that, any kind of replay or whatever, I I I tend to take it easier on that side in terms of the rating. It's like, okay, this is like I'm in the bushes now. I'm off the beaten path. I am doing things that the game is sort of like it's not their best foot forward. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're trying this, we're trying to give you some more value and stuff. I mean, the stuff you're talking about is irritating and all that stuff, but I feel like if you're punishing it, if you're going from possibly an 8 all the way down to, I mean, are you saying like a flat 6 or are you saying like a high 6, like a 6
I'd say a
9?
6.5. I would say
Okay.
if that because here's the thing though. This is their quote unquote true ending, which they make you work for. Uh, very few people would get it naturally their first playthrough. I mean, I collected 4 out of 5 coffins my first playthrough. Um, so I was almost there to naturally get my true ending. And had had they just not had a true ending to discover, they just gave you a real just the whole
Just the
ending
flat ending,
at the
yeah.
end. I mean, it'd be like, wow, that was disappointing. Um, but at least, like that is something. You're not, once again, especially when you say true ending in the trophy, being like, "Oh, cool, there's something, this is gonna be, like, enlightening, this is gonna be more oomph," like, it is literally a fizzle. Um, that is what they meant to be as their complete story. Uh, if they gave it to you straight out of the gate, I'm like, "Alright, cool." That I'd be comfortable with, my, like, my 7, 8, or, like, it's like 7.8, maybe an 8. I'm like, "Yeah, I'd be alright with that." For me, I thought the length was good for that first playthrough. Uh, had they given me more story, more oomph, I'm like, I would've easily said an 8, but, like, I'm like, "Alright," but I also had a lot of jank to it. I got to
Okay.
suffer more jank my second playthrough through it, and, uh,
See, I
you
had
know,
like almost no jank. I can't think of any place that I had any jank that like I can't even think of a single like there's only one part at the end where there was like a groove and the sister or whatever got caught in this groove and I was trying to walk away and I was like, "Oh, she's like perfectly caught in a groove so she would so the AI wouldn't know to make her go like all the way back and then around." So I had to go back, but I wasn't like in danger of dying or anything. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just the variance of experience because it can just it could. I mean, I guess I could have had that much jank or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think I mean to me, if I had to give it like 100th or like a 20th score or whatever, a score out of 100 maybe, I guess it would probably be. Um, I think I'd probably give it like a 7.5, but I could be talked into as low as like a 7.1 or something like that because yeah it's there's problems but yeah it just doesn't.
waste your time to get the true ending, and then we'll come back and talk about it
But
because,
I'm not going to
you know,
do that, like that's like not
because
what I
because
do.
and then but the thing is, yeah, they want for them to complete the story that they want to tell you, like, look it up, just watch it and be like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, that's totally worth an extra 4 hours," because I think it took me about 5 hours to play the first one, and by the time I was all said and done, it said I had, like, 9-ish hours, on the clock.
yeah,
So it was once again, it was a waste of time. I got the platinum for it, but I'm like, if I'm going back for the story, I might as well collect everything else with it. I mean, so I could have probably finished it a little faster if I just went for the coffins. Um, but once again, if I'm already gonna be spending 3 plus hours, I might as well spend the extra little, like, extra hour-ish in the grand scheme of it. The you're upset with the fact that the first playthrough story was lackluster, like, wasn't as, long as you would like it to be. I would say I'm glad it's not any longer because it doesn't give you anything story-wise. It's not fulfilling. It's just wasting time. You would be sitting there like, "Here's a new area," and let you run away from a new monster. Um, it's
yeah, but
just
I mean
like,
like everything is like that. I mean that's literally every game ever is fight and
once again,
run away from monsters. I mean like they could have done some different things because I kind of know what you're saying where you're running away from the bird and then you run away from the strange fuzzy arm monster in the school or whatever.
you run away from the ice cream man more than once. You end up
But
like
yeah, but like that's like what the Little Nightmares that's what the Little Nightmares games have been is you avoid the adult um and this game added monsters in like when you are running away from the bird it is like okay this is sort of just action for action's sake. But I didn't really mind it. I mean, I just think that the atmosphere and stuff like that is like that's what I'm in for. Is like the creepiness of the world, the mystery, and I don't need answers, um, per se, because I know that's just like what that kind of thing like really is. But yeah, like they probably should have worked. Like I don't really like the idea of true endings. I think that you need to be able to get everything to do with the story in one go. Um, you can have like replayability, but I don't really like it to be that way. What they probably should have done is had like a little is have a couple, you know, you get through the main story and then it like does like a fake out ending, but then you like come back in and do like a little bit of like weird zone, small extra level, ways to pad it out for like an extra hour, and then you actually get like what you're actually going for. But that way you don't have to waste so much time. But yeah, that's
You're gonna do it like I said, if you're gonna do a true ending, you do it, yeah, and you're gonna make me waste my time with it. You at least give it the proper go. JRPG style it where it's like Persona games. At least you go ahead and you're getting way more content out of it. The Nier, franchise. You're getting twists and turns. Chrono Trigger, like where they're giving you a lot more oomph. But this is like I said, this is just waste. Like if you had let me just go ahead and level, like move to the level I needed to, collect the last thing I needed to, then yeah, play to the in the case if you like, well, now you have to play to the end of the game. So if you happen to miss the first coffin, well, that sucks. But that's I mean, I can see that, but then not, like then you can kind of, like I understand that logic. Um but the fact that you can't just map into like the third one and then finish the game, it's like
yeah.
why can't you do that? It's very, like I said, it doesn't respect the time, and especially for the fact that your story, it didn't add much. It didn't add much of nothing. Like if you might have think it added something, but once again, it's just
I
like
don't think Westerners are as good at as that. I don't think true ending is really that much of a Western concept. At least
then
it.
don't. I agree. Then don't do it.
Yeah, so
Um,
I'm just saying like that's probably why they didn't do a particularly great job for Little Nightmares 2. There is an ending that you get for that, and then there's a so you don't really get a true ending. From I haven't actually seen this stuff, I just read about it, but I think this is accurate. You don't get like a true ending or anything, but you get more information and more light shed on what happens at the end of Little Nightmares 2 that makes you go, "Oh, okay, now I see how like all of this is like fits together from Little Nightmares 1 to Little Nightmares 2." Um and I think that's probably what they were trying to avoid here because I wonder if that kind of killed it for him. Uh which is maybe why they left or something like that. I don't know.
you're gonna leave things ambiguous and leave things weird. I'm like, I'm all for that, but once again, like to have to to circle jerk with like there's a real ending and then not get like all right, spoilers for Limbo and spoilers for Inside. Limbo, you go through, you make your way through the end of the game. It literally loops back to the very very beginning of the game. You literally fall, you end up busting out the window and you wind up right where you started. Which makes sense if you're stuck in limbo.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then
I guess that's what you're asking for when you play a game called Limbo. Yeah.
and then inside got the weird meat blob at the end, and then you just wander off into the sea. It's just
You
like,
die on the
oh
beach. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, that's exactly. And you're like, okay, but you got to wreak havoc on the way and kind of get revenge to a certain point. um it's just like, but that was all kinds of weird and twisted. I'm fine with that. That one was it's like a what the hell kind of ending, but it was satisfying. Now, if you made me play through the entire thing again just to be like, "Oh yeah, here's a friend that you saw, eat it, go tough, all right," and then you still wound up in the same way, like, All right, and," you know? But there was no BS like that, and so it's like, you wind up at the end, you're like, "Okay, yeah, just like I figured. She's in the bottom of the well. Yep, not a big deal, not a surprise." It's just like, "All right." But at least I got to see the story. It came to its fruition. But then, like I said, that's why I would have rated it. It's like a much better rating. But then for their real ending to be just this junk and to have to go through it again, to suffer through some minor jank, which is just frustrating. Because the first time I did the tank mission, flawless, and the second time around, uh, it was getting I was having issues clipping, like, to try to get to the final bit where
Oh.
you're chasing and you're just firing back, and then you're going to the front of the screen, and it stopped, and I'm like, and I'm trying to move back and forth, and all of a sudden I get captured. Reloads the entire chase sequence again,
Nice.
going all the way back down again to get stopped again. And I'm like, I'm supposed to go forward. And I'm like, am I not? Because there's a road to the side. I'm like, that's not how I went down, then I went ahead and I turned and I stopped. I couldn't do it. I went back down again and forward, but this one to the side, and I was trying to go forward and it got stopped. It wasn't until my 5th or 6th try that it just finally, like, bumped over and let me go forward, and but that to repeat the same tank chase scene again and again, just constantly being mashing the button forward, "Alright, fire, fire, fire," controlling my guy. Uh,
Yeah.
it's just like that was it was weird. I had one others like 1 or 2 other scenes, like, I climbed to the top of the ladder, and one of the characters gets stuck, and I just can't progress forward as, one of the guys with the the machine gun is firing at us, and I'm like, "Okay," so but like I said, by this time, I'm like, "Alright, enough has this happened," so I just hit start reloaded because I've gotten my character has gotten caught on geometry before, side characters, or I went ahead and tried jumping over them, doubling back, and trying to get them unhooked to follow me around, hoping or I went further forward hoping that they'd teleport, and they wouldn't, and I was just like, "Alright." So it just well, it wasn't, like, happening all the time, but
Yeah.
it happened probably, it happened separate instances, probably half dozen times, so like 6, maybe 7 times total. Then, like I said, a few of those instances where I had to suffer multiple times because of it. And so it's just like, yeah, that is uh not experience having only played one time and having minimal problems, but then having to play it again and getting probably more problems my second playthrough than my first because I was speed running it at this point.
Yeah, you're kind of rushing through maybe.
Yeah, and so I was just like so it's way more it is turns out to be like, more janky than originally anticipated. I'm like, "Guess what? That's still on them for making a janky game," and then not,
I
it's like,
guess. I mean,
um,
yeah, I don't know. I guess it's
I was disappointed by it because, like I said, the first playthrough, my first experience, had it been everything, here's the ending, n e true, quote, unquote, "true ending," added or not added, doesn't matter because that was it was such a minuscule BS bit that I didn't care. It really wouldn't have colored my, like, ooh and ah ending, but if either way, I'd have been like, "Alright, that's the ending. I can accept that. Here's my playthrough. Here's my experience. I had a good time with it." But then once again, having this extra guff, I'm like, "No, it's just a waste of time." So I went from, "Yeah, I would totally recommend this game to someone if you want something weird and creepy," to, "Nah, play something else. Go ahead and play Inside, play Limbo, play Little Nightmares. It's, cheaper."
it's
So, I'm
definitely cheaper.
and so
Yeah.
I'm like, this one, it's like this is it looks good. The landmines exploding for some reason turned out really good on my screen for some reason. Like, I have an older TV, but, like, the quality of the performance surprisingly did well. Um, but yeah, it's just like I was let down by the end, and I was just like, "You know what? My walk away from this is, it's most definitely not gonna be on my game of the year list."
Okay.
Um,
It just left a
so
bad taste in your mouth, huh?
yep, and it was, once again, it's just like at the I actually like the short 5-hour playthrough.
Okay.
Like, that I think lasted me just long enough. It did everything just well enough. I think if adding more would just been unless if it was meaningful story, the rest of it would just be fluff. Um, and I didn't wanna play just for playing its sake. I was hoping and I was thinking I was getting something from this game. Turns out they don't really offer you much, and it's not even it's fun in the creepy sense. It's not really a horror game. They do make it a little more tense in the beginning, but by the time the end, it's more action based. Um, so you lose a lot of creepiness like halfway through, I'd say, because the first bit when you're with the skin suits and the woods, that's nice and tense.
It's like action horror, a little bit more oomph on the action than the horror. I mean, it's and horror is even kind of a strong word. It's like, oh, that's weird. Oh, that's creepy. It's
Tense, atmospheric, yeah,
yeah, it's atmospheric. But yeah, okay. Well, to each their own.
Alright. Yep. So now we're running a little long, so we're gonna go ahead straight to the news. So, what do you got for us, Nick?
Well, we have quite a bit of big news this week. Biggest thing: Phil Spencer is retiring. He is out at Microsoft, or at Xbox rather, and um, Asha Sharma is going to take over as the new CEO of Xbox. Um, so Phil Spencer's note was basically just like it's been good. I think he said he'd been in there 38 years. Was that right? That can't be
Um,
38.
y-
I mean, I guess he
it's
probably hasn't been the boss for 38 years, but maybe he's been at Microsoft for that long or something like that.
yeah,
Um,
but the note does say, like, but after 38 years at Microsoft,
so
so
yeah, he must have started some other spot and then got in because Xbox isn't even that old. But yeah, he is retiring, moving on. He didn't say what he's going to be doing next. Because I don't think he's really like normal retirement age, but I'm sure he's done well enough that he can retire if he wants. But yeah, so he's going to be moving on, and we're going to talk about what that means here in a second. But he's being replaced by Asha Sharma. She was formerly the president of product in Microsoft's core AI business. Um, and yeah, so the other thing that is sort of interesting is that she has no video game background. Um, so that is a point of interest for a lot of people. Her I did a little bit of reading on a Kotaku article, I think, and people she shared her gamer tag, and her gamer tag has like 10,000 gamer tag points or whatever it is. Um, and it looks like it was started up about a month ago. um, and they were saying that Asha Sharma or whoever runs this account, they were expressing doubt that it's actually her account, has played like a bunch of different titles and a bunch of different things and stuff like that. So
whoever does the Elon Musk accounts, right? So,
yeah, it's probably the same person that runs Elon's accounts. Um, so I don't know if it's worse if she only just started playing games a month ago or if she's just having somebody do it for her. I would respect the hustle of the latter, but I'd also um, respect, I don't know, the hustle of the former kind of. I don't know, but yeah, so I guess that's probably a good tipping or jumping off point from what I've said. So Joe, what do you think about all this so far?
right. Just because you asked earlier, Phil Spencer, birthday is January 12th of 68. So that means he's what, 58 now? So,
Yeah,
but making all that big money, he's most definitely an easy retirement age now. He can cut and run.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's kind of surprising that Phil Spencer's out. Uh, he he's been the face for such a long time now, for the Xbox. Um, I pretty much think that this proves that things are on fire. He's getting out while the getting is good. They're replacing it with someone who has no experience in the field really, and it's all AI based. So yes, take that for what you will. I think it's a bad omen. And Microsoft hasn't been knowing what they've been doing for the last couple of years now. So you know, uh, hold your breath and see what happens.
Yeah. I am um I'm kind of confused by this, but I'm also not really. It also kind of fits in with what they have been doing for the past couple years now, which is scuttle the I don't want to call it a franchise, scuttle basically all the franchises and the business. Um, by seemingly deliberately making the worst move that they possibly could. Um, I don't know if Xbox One was intentionally, was like the beginning of that, or if they just kind of were like, all right, we messed up with Xbox One. Let's just, this is a new path, and we're just going to keep going down kind of this kind of blow up path that we have been on because of some reasons that I think I'm about to share. So the Houston Astros. There's a article that Forbes put out in 2013 about the Houston Astros because in 2013 the Houston Astros baseball team was one of the worst teams in baseball, um, but they made the most money. And that was very concerning for anybody that likes the Houston Astros or baseball in general. Because what they were doing is they basically figured out how they could give away all their assets, and pay people basically nothing and still make a ton of money off, and so therefore make a ton of money off of the business of baseball. So they did eventually stop doing that. I don't know if somebody made them or what happened, but they did eventually stop doing that, and they started to win, and they actually won at least one championship, if not more than one, and they were very competitive like later, or have been since then, and even are pretty much now every year. So so everything that Xbox is doing kind of feels like that, or everything that Microsoft is doing with Xbox feels like that to me because they have a lot of assets, but that they have a lot of turnkey stuff that they just, it's like we bought it, it runs itself. We're not really doing anything with it other than letting those people over, at Call of Duty, just kind of do what they want to do, and as long as the money keeps being printed, then we're fine. I think that is in a basic way what is going on because it's a little bit too big of a thing just to give up, just to like cede that market to Sony and Nintendo. I mean, if Xbox really did just stop, just stop, like I guess Valve and Steam would just rise up and fill that void along with Nintendo and Sony, but it just seems like so much money to just leave on the table, even if the profit margin isn't as wonderful as they might want it to be, the 30% they want it to be, you know. But I think there's some of that's going on. I think that by putting the president of product in Microsoft's core AI as the CEO of Xbox, you are basically screaming to the world that you are going to have AI make all of your games. Like there's like I mean I mean there's no way around that, right? There's no possible explanation. This person has no video game experience. They're saying that this person doesn't need, that's what they're saying, is the person who is the CEO of Xbox doesn't need any video game experience. This is literally tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, that they are giving to somebody with no experience in the space. Like, like, who do you think that we are? Like, you are, like, do you think that we're that stupid? Either that or they are setting her up to fail, and it might be known to her, like, hey, you're not going to run this for very long. You're going to get some experience here. You're not going to do well. We're going to help you, but you're not going to do well. And then ready and you're ready and we're ready mostly to have you move on because we have a good, better CEO in mind or whatever, better vision, whatever, that's when you'll be ousted and you'll be the bad guy. And then we'll put somebody else in who will have an easy job of basically saving the company and having, doing the whole PR thing that way. Um, I mean, I could see it going that way. I just, it would just be very hard for me to believe that that they're just gonna like end Xbox. But it's certainly a very odd choice. I can't really explain it completely.
I couldn't remember if this happened a few months ago or not, but wasn't it like uh some article going around like Copilot was being shut down or they were putting less effort into Copilot because it wasn't being used or some one of the AI programs? And I'm like, that makes sense because no one cares about Copilot. And if it is getting uh less funding because of the lack of interest, I'm like, well, maybe that's where she came from. They just don't want to use the word
Oh,
Copilot.
that's a good point. So maybe she got, well, like I don't know, like I feel like nobody can abandon their AI at this point, like because it's just everyone. Well, the bottom has to fall out before anybody will admit it or take
Yeah,
the.
but you don't have to put all your funds into that basket.
No,
So
it could be that. It could be that. I think that we're seeing so many layoffs and stuff because they are seeing that they just know they're not going to need the programmers. I mean, that's sort of the irony of this whole AI like revolution is that the first jobs that it's killing is computer science majors, programmers. So upper level people are going to keep their jobs and stuff, but a lot of the lower level stuff is like, hey, write me a program that does this, and then you just tweak it and stuff like that. So that's a lot of video games. It's like, okay, start me out with a level, with a like a 2D platformer with a dark background and a brooding hero. It's like, okay, all right, well this kind of sucks, but this saved me literally like this saved me literally 100 hours of programming. Like that. So if you don't have all those people, you don't need that much legwork. Then I don't know. I could just I don't know. I'd have to do more research into Asha Sharma to see if she is if like she succeeded or whatever. But if you're saying that Copilot didn't really do all that great, then I don't know.
I can't remember. I just remember like I thought I read something out there, which or maybe it's just me projecting. Uh, but
You're
I don't know
projecting.
anyone I don't know anyone who's like, yeah, I can't wait to use that Copilot. Yeah, it's also just like how everyone's like, yeah, I can't wait to upgrade my Windows. People more than ever are now like, what, maybe Linux is the right answer. Um, the answer is no, but for just pure gaming, yes.
I
Or
mean,
like for writing your own NAS server type thing, then yeah, for sure.
dude, like if AI becomes what we all kind of think it might, then yeah, like having it write you your own operating system and then just ripping games off the internet and then having it recode them to work on your operating system. Like I don't really see how that's impossible. It might take some doing, but if you really did want to opt out of buying Windows and doing all this stuff, I mean they're going to lock it down, of course, but it's in the near term it might make the wild west of the internet kind of come back a little bit. But yeah, anyway, so I mean, best of luck to Miss Sharma. I really hope that she can turn things around. Like, I really want to buy an Xbox. I have no desire to do that right now. The most that I would do is just get a Game Pass, again, but that's pretty pricey. But But
I have more faith in the Nintendo Switch 2 than
oh my
whatever,
god.
Microsoft is coming out with, because at least Nintendo will be Nintendo. They'll be greedy SOBs, but the games that they do come out with, that are their, flagship stuff will at least be, solid, while whatever Microsoft is doing, they're just setting themselves on fire even more.
I mean,
So
like, and you were saying, offline. Um, this isn't really part of the news, but you were saying that you think that you might have heard that Sony is pushing back the PS6 to 2028 or 2029 potentially, and it's like it's kind of like Sony's looking like they're just looking around going like, yeah, I mean, for their own good, they don't want to spend the money on RAM and stuff, and it's not a good market for it. But on the other hand, it's like we're, I mean, not even bragging, like they're just not beatable right now. Like Sony's just not beatable right now. So Steam, if the Steam box can make some moves, which they're getting blocked hard by the RAM shortage. We don't know when that's actually going to come out. Nintendo is failing to produce games, which is literally the only thing that they have to do to, you know, do pretty well, and they're not really doing that. So yeah, I mean, Sony is just like the defense rests, like just we can just rest on our laurels literally until 2028.
well, it's one of the added benefits of this craziness right now is the fact that uh the shelf life of all your tech just got that much longer. The consoles are going to be around just that much longer. Your old PC, GPUs, are going to be stretched that much farther. It was already that way, kind of, thanks to Valve and the Steam Deck, because things were already being downgraded, to optimize for the Steam Deck on a weaker kit. Well, that means weaker PCs can run that too. So that's great. Well, if everything's, I think there was even an article about how the OLED Steam Deck is not, they're having trouble, making those because of the shortages, or thanks to the RAM and whatnot. So everything everything lasting that much longer just means, hey, I don't need to upgrade. And if you have a 20 series GPU, NVIDIA GPU or something like that. In my case, I have a 30 series. I'm like, you know what, I'm good. Yeah, I can't really run 4 as the games get better. I can't run 4K, but I'm for sure going to be optimized for the handhelds and for the console equivalent. So and then also PlayStation will just be sitting fine where it's at. I mean, maybe there's a more better argument to buy a Pro now because it's going to be, the current consoles are going to be around that much longer. So maybe get a Pro,
I
but
mean,
outside of that, you don't really need to.
that's kind of what I'm thinking is like by the time I think my guess is that by the time the PS6 and Xbox stuff comes out, that it's going to be so pricey and they're going to know that it's so pricey that they're going to slow play it almost the same way that they had to do with COVID. Um, with the PS5 and stuff is it's like we're going to put this out, nobody's going to buy it. And we're just going to slowly move into that generation. They kind of are they kind of are doing what we were afraid they would do, just differently, back like with the PS4, where where there was some fear in the gaming community at the time that they would turn gaming consoles into phones, where it would be a yearly iteration or like a bi-yearly iteration, and it would just kind of get annoying the way that was. And I think that they are doing that. It's just a much longer timeline, and we're just getting it to where it's like, yeah, you can get the new thing. The old thing still works, and all the games for a while are going to work on the old thing. They're just going to be better on the new thing. And then slowly we're just going to phase out the old thing. So that's, it seems like that's the way they're going to go with it to me.
Yeah, I'm what I'm really curious about is and slash I'm kind of hopeful for is by the time the new stuff comes out or when things become readily available, I'm hoping that there's going to be a substantial tech bump, because everything has been slow, incremental. But by the time we get, because if we're looking at 2028, 2029, for a new, in the theory of, like, 'cause I think it was a Bloomberg article that was talking about the thought of a new PlayStation. The GPUs that will be out, uh, the next couple launches are gonna be, the next launch is gonna be also paper thin because the last couple were, because NVIDIA don't care. They only care about the AI, but the concept of a, whatever the 6 series is, which would theoretically come out next, or the end of this year, question mark? Or probably early next year. Well, that would be, that's one thing, and then by the time the next generation rolls out, which would, you know, 2029-ish, uh, that would be quite a bit of a leap, and it's a lot of the, so I'm kinda curious what we'll be getting from it. It'll be a, between this generation, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, uh, you notice the quality of high definition. 4 to 5 was, it was the load times, but, as far as visual goes, there wasn't a whole lot there. So but by extending this out that much further, I'm kind of hopeful that we might be getting something that more than just visuals, but I'm not really sure what I'm expecting from it. Uh, just probably the quality of the image, the better shading, the better, uh, effects, flames, sparks, everything else, all these extra,
Yeah.
to give the better fidelity, the definition of the fidelity.
Well,
And
I mean, yeah, like I don't know if there was like a backlash to the backlash on this or whatever, but you remember that Unreal Engine 5 demo that there was years ago when it first came out with like Laura Croft or some Laura Croft, whatever lookalike, like wandering around in a canyon, and it like looks amazing. It's like their like ray tracing is like insane and all this stuff. Like I know you saw it. I don't know if you remember, but anybody that saw that, when I saw that, I was like, holy shit! Like here we go. Like PlayStation 5 next generation. This is going to be like, it may not be this great out the gate, but my God, it's going to be amazing. Well, I was looking around on like Twitter or something, and somebody brought that back up and they pointed out when that came out, which was like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Um, and they were like, this hasn't happened. Like, we were kind of promised this, or at least kind of made to believe that this was possible and going to start happening, and it's like not like happened really at all, even like in small scale. And I did
so all right, so it hasn't really happened in games because the execution. So what you're talking about, I'm pretty sure, is the Lumen demo.
probably
Uh, the Lu the Lumen is the lighting, their lighting engine for, Unreal, and it's more of a reality in film. uh It's just the execution in gaming, wasn't the greatest, and that's the problem they've had. Like, it's good for a cutscene, it's good for video. They work it to a certain extent, but to get that full fidelity as in that tech demo, it's you kinda get the similar effect when you do that Matrix demo. Like, we get a lot of things similar, but then you realize the Matrix demo is very much a special made to order, visual package, and there's a lot behind the scenes, or if like, it feels like an old demo you'd get from E3. Like, this
yeah.
all looks so good. You
I,
turn around and it's just a ghost
I mean,
town. It's
I didn't read the fine print, at the bottom, and maybe I should have paid better attention or read all the articles on it or read why you're never going to actually get this in a game or whatever. But like the point is that like this was like put out as being possible, and it's like it's from Unreal, right? Like who? I mean, maybe
yes, it's Unreal, but also Unreal still has traversal stutters. I mean, they're having a lot of
I
issues.
know, but like that's different. Like yeah, maybe your foot gets caught up on something, but like That's
that's not what universal stutter means. It's the as you're playing through, it's having incremental loading issues, and that's why you have to have, pre-rendered shaders in the beginning.
okay. But
But
does
anyway,
this have traversal stutters? Like, it's like, I'm just
what I'm
saying.
saying is it's still Unreal is still nowhere near from perfect.
Okay,
There's a lot of issues, and that's why, the hope of the
but
possibility of it being there is there. It kind of works. Lumen is their real-time lighting, uh, feature assets, but it doesn't, it doesn't work as well as it would hope, and that, like I said, their main game engine doesn't work as well as you'd hope.
I guess
That's what I'm saying, it's
what
still
I'm
jank.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, if we could at least, I say at least, but I sound like an angry gamer over here. If we could at least get what's in the Lumen demo or something pretty close to it within reason with the next generation, I would be at least a little more like closer to satisfied. I'm not dissatisfied with games. I think games look fine. I think they look great a lot of times and stuff like that. But like that was something that like was kind of brought up, and I forgot how long ago that was until somebody was like, "Look at how long it's been since that actually happened. That they showed us this stuff." And I know it's a demo, and I know everything's kind of like souped up, but it did sort of it did sort of make me go, "Yeah, I feel like we could have got something a little bit." I feel like we were sold a little bit, a bill of goods on that, just a bit. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like we've hit a lot of that though, thanks to NVIDIA's ray tracing, path tracing, real time, like all that. And that's where the AI stuff comes in because it's actually been helping a lot of cases. Just the amount of horsepower needed. Unfortunately, GPUs are going to be even more expensive because guess what? It also requires components that are going. If
Well,
the GPUs themselves are being targeted for AI, so
I mean, I
but
don't like, I don't want to black pill people or doom pill people, but like these video game companies are no longer video game companies. Like Microsoft doesn't care about video games, Nvidia doesn't care about video games, AMD does not care about video games. They are now all AI companies. Um, and I think the next couple years are going to be gamers getting mad at these companies for not paying attention to them because like they're like they just don't have to. Like they don't have to, and the money just isn't there anymore. And it's sad. I hate it. It sucks. Somebody hopefully will rise up, you know, out of the ashes of those corporations and become a true blue gamer company again. And they will probably make a lot of money, even if they're kind of smaller potatoes or whatever, they'll do well. But in the near term, like these like make no mistake, these companies do not care about games anymore. They just don't. It's their business is now in everything that has a screen, and that's not just games.
yeah, I mean, NVIDIA's been, ever since COVID, and they realized they can take part of the scalping market themselves, by overinflating and the prices stuff.
That was a
They've been
start for sure.
anti-consumer. They've been anti-consumer there. So that was the start of, the inevitable, dystopian. So, turnout. Yeah. So once again, the tech is getting better. I'm hoping though that by delaying, the only outcome is you would see a better noticeable jump. Because like I said, a lot of people visually wise, they're like, well, PS4 to PS5 wasn't the world's biggest, but the loading times are uh undeniably the way to go. Like it's so much nicer to have a game load in as fast as it does. And when it comes to the new consoles are going to be expensive for sure, but it'll probably be the most back to the most quote unquote consumer friendly. Uh, but if things keep on going the rate they are, I'm afraid that we're gonna have another like gaming collapse because there's going to be a certain point where the average person can't afford it like as a fun hobby. Now, people who are entrenched like us at a certain point, we're like, we're gonna buy it because we're not even for podcast sake, but just because we're gamers and we just are are dumb and we're gonna stick to it, and we will buy one thing and we will spend $1,000 on a TV console, because that's just the way we are. Uh, but as far as everyone buying it like they are, I mean, once again, if you can't, you know, they used to be targeted towards children, but now that the children grew up and now they have full-time jobs, they can go into grown-up debt.
Well, they
you know
expanded their target of children to also include man children. And
The children that grew up,
yeah,
they fall, or the children that got older and got credit cards,
yeah,
and then vicariously, therefore, we are now the peddlers, peddling to the younger generation because they're like, "Hey, I this is mine, but why don't you have a taste and, like, play this video game? Oh, yeah, you like that? Well, go out there and get a job and get it yourself for when you move out on your own." You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's wild.
All right. Now that we're self-hating now, yeah, why don't we move to the next topic?
Okay, so we got a couple more that are actually kind of conversation worthy here too, but we'll see how much we can actually do on them. So Sony shutters Blue Point Games. So they shut down that development studio. Blue Point was responsible for the remake of Demon Souls, the remake of Shadow of the Colossus. They also did co-development on God of War Ragnarok. Um, and then a little more I think it was like last January. Um, there was some kind of news or something that Sony. I'm getting part of this wrong as far as dates and stuff, but basically Sony tasked them with creating a like a multiplayer type of game or something like a live service game, I think. And and so now they're being shuttered, and so some people like commenters and stuff are kind of saying that it's really more Sony's bad direction that is causing this game to be shuttered. I think that it's maybe a little bit more the other way. If I had to guess, and it's a pure guess, but if I had to guess, I would say it's probably some of that Sony's bad direction. But in my limited world experience, you typically don't just throw away assets like that. I think that probably what happened, if I had to guess, is Sony was like, "Look, we don't really have any more work for you." As terms of remakes or things that you're good at, co-development, whatever. We just don't have any more work for you right now. But if you guys want to try to make this live service game, then we will let you try. And if you can come up with something and basically pull a rabbit out of a hat, then you'll survive. And I think that it's probably just too daunting for them. And when they finally had to come to it, it's like, look, it's not good enough, and we gotta cut you. That's I think that's probably 60% of it at least. That's just me guessing. But anyway, so
See, yeah, I'm on the opposite spectrum of that one, actually, because I look at it as there's a lot of times where a company will task a team with a project, have them run it, and then pull it at the last minute, and then be like, "Hey, you haven't produced any positive numbers. We've just sunk money into you, and since you aren't actually proving any profit, we're gonna let you go." I don't think they themselves would be like, "Yes, let's make ourselves a, multiplayer game." It's like a live service game. I most definitely think Sony's like, "Well, this is late to the game, but this is the hotness that we hope to embark on. Um, let's go ahead and get a team that is available. You guys, you're available, so let's go ahead and make you do this." And like they can't say no. So they're gonna go ahead because there's nothing in their catalog that's like, "Oh yeah, we got tons of experience with anything remotely live service." Like, they're gonna do what they're told. They're gonna try to get a paycheck, and they're gonna hope that what they come out with is gonna be bankable. And then coming in like this day and age, especially after Sony had a great run with some live service recently, they're most
Mm.
definitely gonna be like, no, we're not good. Sony's learned from their lessons, and be like, we're gonna pull the. It's cheaper to pull the plug now than
Yeah.
it is to try to launch something half baked, get the whole industry to make fun of us and just completely smear our name.
I mean,
No, cut it and cut them because we don't we need to cut trim the fat somewhere, free up space. It sucks, and I but it's like, and I believe it's on Sony. I don't think
I
it's
mean,
on them.
like the lessons of Concord, like this could be fallout from that. Essentially, it has been a while. Like, when did Concord actually get canceled? It's been oh, what, before last summer, right? It was quite a while ago. I think for Blue Point to kind of survive this long, at least keeping the doors open, it just like that's like what you're talking about is not beyond the realm of possibility. I'll admit, but it's more that's more of a Microsoft move, is to kind of close businesses down. Like, I think there was an article that I saw from the Penguin Zero uh, video he just put out, where he was saying that somebody pointed out that more they closed more studios than producing like AAA games. Anyway, so I just that's more of like a Microsoft move. I don't really see that as much of a Sony move. That's kind of why I give them a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. If it comes out that I'm totally wrong on this, then I won't be surprised with that either. But I think that I think that the game industry is just like Sony just hasn't participated as much in shuttering studios and stuff, and layoffs quite as much as some of the other, at least as much as Microsoft has.
They've done it though, and
Yeah.
they've had shut enough studios, but the thing is, at the same time, they haven't acquired like this. It's roughly, I'd say it's a smaller percentage overall than Microsoft, but Microsoft also has acquired a larger percent. So
Yeah,
yes,
they bought so much and they just had to call the herds there.
and so the thing is, yeah, Sony has let studios, like main studios that famously, um, Sony, or was it the Sony Japan Studios? I'm trying to, not Sumo Digital. Anyways, they've let go some legacy studios before that made just nothing but bank. Like they've made great stuff, and they're like, yeah, by the way, we're gonna let you go. Um, that's not surprising. Uh, for them to like Bluepoint hasn't done anything really. I mean, they supported on Ragnarok, but they hadn't really done anything since 2020 when they did the Demon Souls. And so if they were like, "Hey, Sony's like, we want you to do this," they're working on it. Then they finally look at it, and especially after Concord a year ago, they're like, "Yeah, this is probably isn't going to be the right thing to do." They cut it whenever they do, and then they're like, "Well, now we got to do pitch, like uh, talk to the team, try to pitch a new thing to Sony." And if Sony's like, "Well, our budget, we're tightening the waistbands, like
Yeah, I mean, if
and you
they're
can't prove
if
to
it,
prove a document, a demo, to do a pitch, and then them being like, in the end, the pitch didn't really work. We're gonna probably let you go
yeah, I mean, it kind of makes that all kind of makes sense, especially if they're considering pushing back the PS6, if everyone's waiting for AI to do its thing, and wondering if anybody's actually going to need anybody to do any coding. Yeah, it kind of makes sense that they would be like, we really don't have anything particularly that we need you to work on. So, and we canceled the thing we were having you work on. So, yeah, guys, hope you have your resumes ready to go.
because honestly, the things they've done is was it '09 was the God of War collection, 2011 was the Eco and Shadow Colossus collection, uh, Metal Gear Solid collection also in 2011, 2015 Nathan Drake collection for Uncharted, uh, 2015 Gravity Rush remastered, 18 was Shadow Colossus being ported over to remake or whatever for the PS4,
Yeah.
and then 2020 Demon Souls.
I
So
mean,
unless if they had an old game that they wanted to bring over to make it refreshed, to remake it or something for the new generation, There was only one 2025 game
Like,
that they had uh, developed, I should say. Under support, they've had other things, but mostly
well,
the only game for the 20 for PlayStation 5 was God of War Ragnarok.
I mean,
Before that was Titanfall.
like if you take all that stuff, if you take all that stuff and you look at it as a whole, it's like, what of this development really took a ton of talent to make? And the people at Blue Point, they're very good. Demon Souls remake and the Shadow of the Colossus remake and whatever they help for Ragnarok and everything else they've done. It seems like they whatever they touch has been good. But they're not. But they're not really having to innovate. It just seems like Sony is not seeing the talent on the team. At the very least, because I'm looking at all those things that you listed, and I'm like, you know, that's that's all nice stuff, but it's not system seller type things or breakout. Oh, this was. I mean, people praise Demon Souls a lot, to be honest. But it's not stuff that Sony's going to be like, look, we just got to keep it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, uh, when it comes to some of the things that are selling better, when you got, like, Blooper Team, doing, like, the Silent Hill, remakes, as it were, and stuff like that, it's you can only remake stuff so much, um, and well, once again, like I said, and I just think if the stories were true about that, Blue Point having to make a multiplayer, live service game, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, they were fed a false narrative.
Yeah.
They went ahead down the wrong path. They did what they had to do. It's
Yeah.
you can say and they probably saw the writing on the walls, being like, whatever team had to do FBC Firebreak, like there's no way they were like, "Yeah, this is gonna be the next best thing." It's more like they were told to do it, and like, I guess, okay, this is my paycheck. I may not like my job all the time, but I do like getting food on my table. So yes, uh, I like my mortgage being paid, so I will do what I'm told. Um, Please don't cut me. You know.
Yeah, for real.
All right. Well, unfortunate that because like I said, the things they did, Blue Point's done, has been quality. Just unfortunately, Sony has done what they've done, or in the end, this happened. So I'm sure find they'll land on their feet. At least I hope so. And yeah, good luck to them.
All right, so I guess the next thing, so Resident Evil Requiem, gameplay videos have leaked online. So I think the specifics is that it's some ending material of the game, story ending material of the game, and I believe that it has to do with Leon Kennedy. I could be wrong. I was kind of let my eyes glaze over because I don't really want to know a lot about it because I want to play, but I wanted to let people know. Bit of a PSA here. Let people know that content has been leaked online, and so if you don't want the game spoiled, then don't go and watch that. Or if you do want it spoiled, I guess live your life, whatever. But Capcom is saying that these videos were obtained illegally, and that they would be pursuing some sort of legal action. But their statement seemed pretty toothless. I got to be honest; it seemed like they basically said we're going to take the videos down and issue warnings, and it's like that is probably not going to be enough to dissuade people. If it were me, I'd be. I mean, maybe they just don't have the that. Maybe their lawyers were like, we don't have ground right now, but they need to get ground really fast because this could cost the company a lot of money. It's a big time game. People are probably going to buy it anyway. Probably not going to affect sales that much, but it could. You never know. So anyway, so that's just kind of a sad thing, and just beware. Um,
Yeah, unfortunately, like just don't read comments in general because I remember when was that the new Star Wars, the latter trilogy came out, and that first, so was it 7? Episode 7 came out. Buddy was just he read comments to it was like, it was a YouTube just like music, comments or something, just a music video, and someone just blurted out the spoiler there, just straight up is like, "What the F? Like, this isn't even remotely related. It's not it's like not even the same genre. It's like just music, and here you are, some just jerk just blurts it out."
I've had
Granted, it's
that.
a little bit
I,
so it's funny, and it's but at the same time, I like you laugh about it, but at the time, they were pretty upset because they hadn't
well,
gotten to see the movie yet.
it's because that is why I literally had that happen before. Like I can't tell you how many times I've been scrolling through like YouTube comments and someone says like like Jimmy dies at the end of at the end of horror movie 6, you know, and it's like fudge. I didn't need to know that. Like why we were like I was watching a YouTube video about woodworking. Why is this here? It is you got to be I mean, look, you got to be part of the zeitgeist. Once you're not, once you agree or fall behind and cannot be part of the zeitgeist, like I'm not going to spoil it for you, but the world is a cruel place. And I'm sorry, but that this is par for the course. So anything that you really want to play, do not or watch or consume, do not put it in the backlog. Don't put it in the freezer. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now.
So, also, word advice to Catcom, get Nintendo's lawyers.
Oh yeah,
So,
because
they'll scorch earth. I mean, granted, it'll be like 3, 4 months from now, but then they'll slap the one person for, like, all the money. So,
yeah, they
uh,
do not mess around. Like they've got people they've got people tied up in a basement somewhere in Japan, you know, hooked with that electrodes hooked up to them in very not nice places. So yeah, that's the way to do it, Capcom.
alright,
One little thing about this is
yeah.
that I wanted to mention there's like a really weird ultra limited edition Resident Evil Requiem uh you know edition that comes with exercise equipment. And anyway, well, it did come with exercise equipment because you can't buy it anymore because it's sold out online in Japan almost instantly. But I recommend anybody go look at the advertisement for this because it is like peak Japan strange advertisement. It is very it's just like a nice older two nice older people, an older man and an older woman talking about this collector's edition and the equipment that you get with it, and it's just it's just weird. It's very
It
weird.
feels like an SNL skit is what it does.
It
It feels
does.
like it should
It does. It's like you're just ready for like Andy Samberg to like come out of a closet or something with like red paint on or something like that. I don't know, but it's yeah,
it
it's
also feels like Amazon, like, photoshopping where you see a stock photo and then they just slap whatever product it is in, like, in their hand, and you're like, "See, these kids are having fun with this megaphone," like so in the case of this, it's like, "Here she is. Her arms are up," and, like, they just slap her in this exercise machine, you know?
yeah, it's like green screen spun around and stuff. Yeah, it's anyway. So go check that out. A couple more little things here. Near Automata sells 10 million copies. So Near Automata came out in 2020 in 2017. So it's been 9 years. It sold 5 million pretty quickly, and it's just been trickling out to 10 million over so many years. Probably most of that is due to sales because I'm sure that game is on sale like all the freaking. I mean, it was on sale when I bought it in 2017 or maybe 2018 or something. Um, so and it wasn't a deep sale, but it was pretty significant. So to celebrate that, I think the Japanese Square Enix account, Square Enix YouTube account, put out a video recapping the history since Near Automata, not the whole Near series, but just kind of since Automata, and kind of showed like all of the concerts and plays and like books and like extra stuff that's come out, and they ended it with like a note that said Near Automata to be continued. And so this is kind of being clickbaited by some news outlets basically saying that, did Square just low key drop the idea of a new Nier game? Um, and if you read into it a little bit, it doesn't really seem like that. I think that the ship has sailed more or less on a sequel to, well, so Yoko Taro has said that the mobile game was the sequel to Nier Automata, or the next Nier game. It was the next True Blue Nier game. That's hard to believe in some ways because it just there's a lot of good information in there, a lot of good stories and stuff, but it's just not really, it's not like a complete thing. It's clearly kind of a cash grab. So people don't really buy that, but it uh, but I think a lot of the meat has been plucked off of the bone here, and I think that if we do get another Nier game, the chances are high that it will not be very good, just because so many of the ideas have been used up on different other things, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of uh, a lot of forward progress from Yoko Taro to make another Nier game, or to get it produced, or to do whatever he has to do. Either that or Sony, either that or Square Enix is not that excited about it, or something or other. It's not easy to make games. So anyway, so I've kind of been holding out hope for a couple of years now, but I really think that the ship has kind of sailed on it.
Yeah. Though just a fun fact, it's actually on sale right now on PlayStation 5. It's for 15.99 US. So yeah, that just shows that it does go on sale quite often. Uh, I, to my shame, I still haven't finished that one.
Did you ever
uh,
start it? I didn't know that you
uh,
started it.
I started it, and then got sidetracked. I put in a lot of time. I started it right after finishing um, the
Near.
Near Replicant,
Yeah, you played
and I
the the problem is that you played too much Near Replicant. Like, I mean, and I'm glad
I
that you did
platinumed
that,
it. Yeah, I did.
which is crazy that you did that.
I did the
But
flowers, I did the whole shebang. It's just, I did the time manipulation on my PlayStation to skip time back and forth. I went hard in that. So yeah, now's the time to go ahead and play Nier Automata. Like it's funny because I was watching the anime before having actually gotten a chance to play the game. So the anime was filling me in more on the story,
look,
which was
I'll,
pretty.
I'll I'll give you this. If you play through beat whatever Near Automata, then that is a shoe in for best old game of the year. Like, I mean, that's gonna win automatically, pretty much no matter what else. I mean, that's what you're gonna. I mean, you're gonna have a shoe in, at least if you bring that game, you'll have a shoe in, because I'm going to upvote that game and just say, yeah, that. Conversation's over. Um, but anyway, so I still think that you should play it. It is dated, even for the time. It wasn't. People said, "Oh, the visuals are great." I thought it looked pretty flat, even at the time. It looked better back in 2017. I'm gonna be honest, but it's still like a really good game. It's got jank and it's got problems, but I do encourage you to
So
go play it.
the character models, were always all right. It's just always the backgrounds were very drab.
Yeah,
That's but that's in it, you kind of let it be that way because like, oh yeah, well it's dystopian background garbage. Granted, it ain't no Last of Us, where it's like flourishing like lush greenery. So no, this is more of just like yeah, standard background fodder, but it's it feels very much of an older generation of game having been brought like to the PS4 at the time. Like it was PS4 originally, right?
yeah, PS4. Yeah.
Yeah, so it felt like if it honestly felt more like a the backgrounds of a PS2, PS3 era. It's just like, yeah, but it's Japan, so you kind of let it slide,
I mean,
you
like,
know.
it's a budget game. Like, it was made on a shoestring budget, and that's sort of like 5 million copies is not nothing, but it's really not all that big of a deal when you consider even the games for the time. Like I'm pretty sure anyway, like Call of Duty and stuff like those sold, those sold
Yeah, but
like those in the first hour.
the fact that the fandom, the fervor behind it, like in Japan, was really hardcore too. Like it
Well,
was amazing, and it broke the fact that is Near Replicant or the Near what the first Near didn't nowhere near do it that well, but then Automata broke out in the West,
yeah.
and that was something.
I mean, yeah, I think Yoko Taro. I think I've said this before, but I think Yoko Taro, if he does another one, if any one, and he does love money. He says all the time that he loves money. So I guess once he needs to more money to love, that he then he'll make another one. But whenever he does make another one, I'm pretty sure he's gonna put like he's got to get another. I mean, he'll never have another 2B, but he's got to get another like 2B like character. He's got to get another like cute girl character and or more than one cute girl character to kind of sell the game because I feel like that kind of did sell the game pretty hard that you had,
It had
these
some shock value with those assets, for sure.
yeah,
Especially for the time, it was like no one was expecting. Like you're like really, and it's like you had people being like, "Oh yeah," or like other people like, "Oh no." So it really that got people just engaged and talking about it too. What they should do is instead of doing Nier, just go back to Drakengard, make a new one of them,
Dragon Guard
and then
4. Oh god.
tie it all together. Drakengard Automata or something like that,
God.
so
Yeah, that would be wild. Be
there
wild.
you go. All right. Well, yeah, that's cool that they sold 10 million copies. What else you got for us?
Okay, last thing. This is just a little bit about Ubisoft. Things I put together here. Um, there are two more Far Cry games coming. And I was surprised to hear this that the last Far Cry game, Far Cry 6, came out 5 years ago. It came out in 2021. Like, that is just nuts to me. I was like, if you'd asked me when it came out, I would have said 2023. No, it came out in 2021. So it's getting on 5 years. But they are saying there's going to be two more Far Cry games coming. Um, one of them might be a spinoff or something, but I think another one, there should be another mainline one coming. But anyway, that and then there are several more Assassin's Creed games coming. So that kind of makes sense as well. And then just another little note here, something weird that happened. Weird is probably the wrong word, but the Montpellier studio um, in France had to evacuate 500 people for a bomb threat hoax. Somebody called the police station, said there was a bomb threat, something like that. They evacuated everybody. The police went in and checked the building up and down, and they couldn't find any credibility to the threat at all. And so people were able to go back in, and everybody is safe and stuff. But anyway, so I just wanted to mention that happened.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like they've been, as far as touching back with the first thing, Far Cry. Yeah, I'm not surprised that they pumped the brakes on that one because uh, Far Cry 5 was a mixed bag. Their spinoff was at New Dawn. Uh, Also kind of fell a little short, I feel. Then six, I think six got people back in, but only because they had El Pollo Loco boss.
Yeah, Gustav something.
Um,
Gustavo, or
uh,
is that the
Carlos,
Gus is the
no,
character is the character's name. Um,
Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito. Yes.
So they had and having them in as the villain. I tried playing that game. I tried really liking it. It was just
I told you
the
not to.
it was the old. Well, I like Ubisoft games to a certain point, but it was just big for big sake, and it was just like not. If it was a more streamlined game, I would have probably enjoyed it. But it was unfortunately, I think the last Far Cry I really enjoyed was Far Cry 4, and yeah, like I said, it's just I really wanted to like it, could not get behind it. Though it had a really fun, the fake or spoof endings. Uh, Usually, they've been having them since Far Cry 4. Far Cry 5 is like just don't engage, like don't try to fight, and then you can leave. Far Cry 6 was at any given time when you have a boat, you can just walk off the map and then just wind up on a beach in Florida and then hear about the downfall of your country on the radio. And it's just like technically a happy ending for your main guy. I mean, it sucks for the rebellion, but you know,
Hey,
that's their
gotta look
problem.
out for number one, man.
So, yeah, that has one of the better endings, I feel.
Okay.
But yeah, all right. Uh,
One last thing that I did forget to put in earlier is the passing of a great actor, Robert Duvall, passed away. I think since the last time that we had a podcast, we might have missed it on the last one. If we did, I'm sorry, but I wanted to mention that because Robert Duvall, excellent actor for a really long time, and he's in a lot of really great movies. Apocalypse Now, The Godfather, and plenty of other stuff throughout the ages. So just wanted to say that we remember you, Robert, and I hope you're doing all right.
yeah. There was an interesting post I noticed. Someone posted on Reddit saying in Godfather 2, the dinner scene, the people who walk away from the table happen to be the way they passed away in real life.
No way.
Uh, yeah. So everyone who's walked away, then the only one left is Al Pacino now, and
Um,
yeah.
Dang, that's
So it
crazy.
yeah, it's gonna go down as probably one of those, like, curses or something like that. Um, but it's just, yeah, it's a weird coincidence, and I was
I
just like,
mean,
"Dang."
that's pretty weird. Like, especially if it's a scene where you can clearly tell who is walking away first, second, and third. And I mean, that's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
Yep. But no, for sure, it's a big loss, but at the same time, a full life, at least. At least it wasn't someone taken away, far too soon. So that's the only, like, caveat, like, the silver lining is, like, someone who contributed a lot to the industry, to cinema, and yeah, so, thoughts and, hearts go out to the family. And on that note, if you made it to the end, we appreciate it. This has been another Dead Pixel, episode 165. Some wisdom you have for the people there.
Um, Words of wisdom. Get Nintendo's lawyers.
Without a doubt. And if you can't afford them, hope that your opponent doesn't get them.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
All right. This has been ADP. Until next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.